Why hello there. You are currently watching me absolutely suck at War Thunder while playing the British. And you might be asking, where did this sudden review video come from? And that is because I got really fed up with playing the British, so I started making a rant on the British. But then after recording the audio part, I realized that this kind of sounded like a review video for War Thunder. So guess what? That's what it is now. And if you've never seen my channel before, that would make no sense. So let me just give you a warning. I only play ground forces in War Thunder. I don't play planes, and I mean no one plays naval anyways. So okay, let's start off with the basics. War Thunder is a game made by Gaijin Entertainment, which is a Hungarian video game developer and publisher headquartered in Budapest, which is known for making games such as War Thunder, Crossout, Star Conflict, some other game, and Enlisted. But hold up, you didn't come and watch this video just to hear a guy read out the Wikipedia article. You came here to see a review of War Thunder. So, maybe I should actually do that. On to topic 1. When you first boot up War Thunder, you'll be able to choose from 10 different nations. This includes USA, Germany, USSR, Great Britain, Japan, China, Italy, France, Sweden, and Israel. But I'll be honest with you, you might as well exclude Israel because trust me, paying 146,000 silver lions is not a good idea. Within each of these nations, they all have their own tech trees, which allows you to research more vehicles to play with. But the problem is, a lot of tech trees are not built the same. For example, have you heard of a thing called Russian bias? If you're watching this video, you probably haven't. And it's when Gaijin Entertainment decides, oh hey, let's make all the Russian vehicles really overpowered in the higher tiers. Or as another example, the rounds that Germany is allowed to use, being heat rounds, which is super overpowered when you're only at rank 1, going at 1.3 battle rating, meaning you're basically allowed to kill anything you want. But hey, don't trust the nation flags too much, because then you're going to be very surprised when you find out that they basically mean nothing. As you see here in the British tech tree, you're going to find a South American SPAA or anti-aircraft gun. Or in the German tech tree, an Argentinian light tank. Don't worry, if you're a fan of Finland, you can also find out that they have a Finnish heavy tank. But is only one Finnish tank not enough for you? Well, guess what? Go down to Sweden, because basically half their tech tree is not even Swedish. Because guess what? They have all of the Scandinavian countries in there. In fact, I bet you that probably around half of the Swedish tech tree is probably not even Sweden. But hey, you probably get the gist on nations now in the game. So let me just go over to the right. Now, War Thunder is a big game, so you must ask the question, what tank should you use? Because the tanks in War Thunder range from fast boys to slow boys, one small lad to an absolute heckin' chonker, and a battleship cannon on wheels, or 4 M60s mounted together. But you might be asking, hey George, why do all of them look very different from the bus to an actual battleship cannon? And that's where the class system comes in. There are 5 major class systems in the game for ground vehicles. This includes your light tanks, your medium tanks, the heavy tanks, SPAA or anti-aircraft, and tank destroyers or self-propelled cannons. Now, of course, each of these classes have their own drawbacks. Like, for example, the tank destroyers having really good penetration and good ammo, but being super duper slow. Or your AA cannons having great fire rates, but having almost no armor or penetration power. And I will not be getting into the rounds or ammo that you can use because there is way too much of it to actually be covered in a video like this. so I would recommend you watch another person's video that I'll be linking down in the description. But all of this doesn't matter if you're not even actually playing the game. So now, let me get into the different While yes, there are around 13 different modes and games you can play, I will only be talking about the ground versions of them, which includes ground arcade battles, ground realistic battles, and assault ground arcade. If you were to just want the very simple differences between them, I would recommend you just read the blurb that appears once you hover over them, but I will try to give a more in-depth comparison between them. So let's start off with the most different of the bunch, the Assault Ground Arcade. One of the big things that you might notice when you first load into Assault Ground Arcade is the fact that it actually costs you money to load into the game, instead of it just being free. You may also notice that there is no enemy team or even friendly spawn point on the map, and that is because everyone spawns directly in the center of the map and is meant to protect one point from AI enemies trying to capture it. The only way they can capture the point is actually by going in that blue square that is on your map, not by actually sitting on the point. Which seems pretty easy just to stop a whole bunch of enemies from coming too close to you. But trust me, there's a lot of them. And also, I'm just bad at the game, so you're gonna have to make your own statement on that. You also are actually allowed to use planes in this game, so there's a very easy way to rack up points and XP. And yes, they do give around 1,000 XP for every single game you play, which is pretty good. That's a lot of research points to be getting. Except for the fact that each of these rounds takes around 30 to 50 minutes. So trust me, it is not worth your time. And other than that, that's all that's majorly changed in game. But what about the rewards you get? How do you get that XP? How do you get their research points? Well, at the end of each match, you'll get a screen that pops up that looks like this. Meaning you get your rewards based off of how long you are actually playing the mission, which is an actually really great way to reward points for playing this game. Except for the fact that it's not based off how long you are playing in the mission, it's how long your entire team survives for. So if you guys get super unlucky, then you just get less resources. And trust me, getting 100 research points after spending 30 minutes in a game, that doesn't feel good, man. Anyways, onto the actual games that you will play. Ground arcade and ground realistic battles might as well be brother and sister, because trust me, they're very similar, and they will be what you play for about the majority of your time. The first thing that you should notice is that one costs SP to spawn in, and one doesn't cost anything. This is to make sure that you are actually doing something while playing the game. And trust me, you won't actually notice unless you are doing really terrible. If we speed up the gameplay here, you might now notice the second difference. Enemies in arcade battles, no matter where they are or whoever sees them, if they are spotted, then their position gets revealed to the entire team. And likewise to your own team when the enemy spots you, meaning the spot mechanic basically becomes useless. This also means that any kind of smoke screen that you're able to use becomes useless, as you are able to see your position and the enemy's position no matter where you are. If we skip forward a bit more, you will see the third big change. As you see in the arcade game, my reticule actually turns a different color based on what I'm aiming at the enemy. Green means you can penetrate the armor, red means you can't, and gray usually means you will just ricochet off. But trust me, knowing Gaijin and whose ever luck is playing, you will most likely not penetrate, no matter what color it is. Oh, another thing you might have picked up on is the fact that in realistic battles you'll see that I do not have access to planes while in arcade. I do, and that is because in realistic you actually have to bring your own planes from the airplane section of the nations. meaning that if you actually want to play realistic battles correctly, you actually need to grind both tech trees, not just ground, but also airplane or helicopters, but that's more of a high tier thing. But this is all in-game stuff, so how about them rewards, eh? Okay, despite what it looks like, you're just gonna have to understand that I did really bad in realistic, but trust me, you get a lot more research points and silver lines, which is the currency, if you play realistic, which makes it completely worth enduring the pain. Trust me, when you have to get 15,000 research points in like a reasonable time, you do want the 1,000 research points per game versus like 500 max in arcade. But hey, I think that's enough about all the games now. What about like the thing that you've been hearing all along? What about the sound, the War Thunder to me has great audio. Other people might not agree so, but I think I am somewhat qualified to talk about it, seeing as I have 42 hours on the game, which is not a lot, but I would say it's a decent amount. And in fact, what you're listening to right now is ground track 3 of the OST. Oh, hi, son. Why did you come to me this time? Oh, hey, did. I was just wondering why my sister's name Rose, man. Oh, that's easy, son. That's because your mother really loved her roses, man. Oh, thank you, did. Oh, you, mate. You're welcome. Trumpet part of ground track 3 of the War Thunder soundtrack. While yes, I do love the soundtrack, obviously War Thunder couldn't get everything correct. And don't get me wrong, the crew voice logs aren't that bad, but compared to other games, it's not that good either. Like, here's an example from my own games that I played.
Target destroyed!
Into your vehicles!
Ready up! Driver ready. Scanner ready.
Loader ready.
And don't get me wrong, these aren't bad, but they aren't really that good either, especially compared to certain games like Gunner Heat PC, for example.
Target, next target, Gunner, PC, traverse right. Identified! Fire! On the way! Gunner Heat tank! Traverse right! On! Identified! Fire! Fire Sibo! On the way!
While yes, Gunner Heat PC does technically have less voice lines, they really put effort into making each one sound like it fits in. Just like how this second clip shows how panicked the voice lines are. It's just great. But I've been gushing over the sound for around 2 minutes now, so let me just move on to our next topic, which is the visual. War Thunder's visuals are just simply great, but the best way to show off the visuals of anything is to let them do the talking, not someone else. But I'll be honest, watching some dude just drive around in a tank and then get shot from half a mile away probably isn't what you came here for and probably would be really boring. So how about I talk about something that I should have talked about way at the start, because that's kind of how this game plays. And also, it slightly relates to the visuals, so I mean, come on, I can put it here. War Thunder, instead of using a regular health system, actually uses a modular system. This means that you can't just take a huge gun and shoot at a target and then just kill it. You actually have to know where to aim. And I mean, obviously this can be frustrating at times, especially when usually you should have hit the enemy and it should have penned their armor, but then it just didn't. But you know, that's just how the game goes, and I'll be honest with you, this is really cool to have in the game. As you can see, each part of a vehicle has been modeled individually to make sure it works and fit in with the individual vehicle, meaning each vehicle has had a ton of effort put into it, from the transmission to the fuel tank to the engine to the radiator, the ammo, and even the ring turret. Everything has been modeled by hand. So keep that in mind if you actually choose to get this game. It does actually take skill. You actually have to know where to aim on certain tanks to make sure you penetrate the armor and you actually get the kill. Because trust me, some tanks, like for example the gun carrier 3-inch, which is what I'm showing to you right now, takes a lot of shots to kill, and some things like this, the Achilles, takes almost none. Oh, and all the ammo storage is actually able to change based on how much ammo you bring with you. That's why if you watch a lot of people that know how to play this game, they always bring very little ammo unless they need to, because then you're just basically making yourself a high explosive bomb on wheels. I'm sorry, what's that you're asking? You want to know what vehicles will actually do to you, but you're too lazy to go and test? Well, don't worry, the game has you covered. Introducing analysis mode, which is only a slight pain to access. With this, you get to see what every single type of ammo from every single take from any nation will do to what you are driving. For example, ever wanted to know what a semi-truck running into you while you're on a moped felt like? Well, here you are. Just try using the FV405 Shell L1 against basically anything. Trust me, you will kill it. Oh, and you get to see what the insides of the vehicle looks like after they get absolutely destroyed. Ain't that cool? Okay, now that we have the actual functioning part of the game out the way, maybe we should go on to the true visuals of the game. War Thunder, simply put, just has beautiful graphics. And it may not seem like it, but that's because my PC's bad and I always have to run it on low graphics or else it lags really bad. But trust me, when you put it on high graphics, it looks beautiful. From the explosions to you being able to see a bullet fly through the air before it impacts you, the visuals just tie the entire game together. And that's not even me talking about the HUD yet. The HUD, in my opinion, is actually pretty good. As you see here, I am in the lobby of the game, which displays most of the general information that you should know about. On the bottom here, you have the research trees, all the nations and all the tanks you want to use. And if you hover over them, you can actually see the information on them. And if you want to buy another crew slot so you can bring more vehicles with you. At the top here, you can see your currency, a bit more of all your collectibles, the shop, and the help button. On the right, you kind of have the newsletter of the game, mostly War Thunder just trying to sell stuff to you. And in the top left, you actually get your options and stuff like you being able to replay your battles. On the left side, you can see all the different modes, which you've already seen, and the modifications tab opens up the stuff that you have bought for your certain tank or researched. What I will say is bad though is the way how you select a different mode. There's no information telling you that's where you selected at the top right below the battle button. So I think they should probably make it a bit more obvious, because I never figured that out until my friend told me. If you click on the research button, it'll bring up all the tech trees according to the nations. And if you want, you can hover over or select any vehicle to be able to test drive it. In the top left, you can pick actually what type of games you want to play, either army, aviation, or fleets. Just in case you actually don't know where anything is, you're allowed to just hover over anything and then it will tell you the information on what it does, which I think is a great addition to the game and should be with everything. Now let's check the in-game HUD. First off, when you load into a game, it'll give you a little briefing on what the objective is and what map you're playing on, so if you want to look at the replays later, you're easily able to pick that out. Now in-game, you'll actually get to see the real HUD that you're going to be looking at for most of the time playing. Down here at the bottom, you can access your statistics and spectator mode, as well as the chat, your personal tasks, your orders, which are both collectibles, and the to battle button. On the top, you'll get to see all the tanks you have equipped, and there are available ammo that you're allowed to choose from, as well as the camouflage, and the skins, as well as the respawn point you want to spawn at. Say you click spawn, but then you realize you made a mistake, you're always allowed to cancel your spawning before you actually load into the game. Alright, now that we're in battle, you get to see the true HUD, which is very simple. You have in the bottom right your mini map, the bottom left your tank statistics and how you're doing, and at the very bottom you get to see what the buttons on your keyboard do when you click them. Now obviously you can bind them to your own preference, but I like just using the default one. So V allows you to spot enemies, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 allows you to switch between different ammo shells. 6 is usually what is your fire retardant, so when you catch on fire you're allowed to just put it out, and O or Q usually allows you to just pull any enemy's corpses, or if you want you can enable pulling, meaning your teammates are allowed to just pull you when they click it. Getting hit reveals what's wrong with your tank, and it also displays the time it will take for it to repair. And if we wait a little here, you'll get to see what it looks like when you shoot someone, as in the top right it'll display what you did to their tank, as well as if you die it'll display a little replay of what it looked like when they hit you, which I think is a little fun add-on. Also gets you quite mad when you're really pissed off. And with that being said, I think you are finally ready to make your decision on whether you should play the game. Have fun. You know, while you actually watch these nice shots that I took in replay mode, I would just like to say thank you for watching my first actual video that I've ever made. It was quite the journey to actually try making a video, I tell you. It was fun though, like, yeah, it was actually quite fun, and I mean, if this video turns out to be somewhat good, maybe I'll make another on a different game I like. I don't know. I would like to do a little shout out, I guess, you know, just because I realize that there's so many people that I can just throw them in there and just like the visuals of it, so I'm probably just gonna shut them out now as like a little last thought. Number 1, Bricky, great YouTuber. Absolutely would recommend checking them out, or him out. He's doing great content. This is taken off of his Frostpunk series, the way how he overviewed that, because I love that video. Also would like to shout out my good friend Grimlander, or Cade, as he has really been the one who motivated me to make a video at all. And you know, we have a little friendly competition, first one to 100 subscribers, so I guess this can get added to one of the battles that we took. And of course, I would like to say, yes, this entire thing was made in Fillmore. I will not be paying. I refuse to spend money on this. This is just as a joke. This is just for laughs. So yes, all made in Fillmore, like 4 days now. Actually, only took 4 days. And yeah. So I guess that's it. I'll wait for this song to finish, as it absolutely slaps. And then once that is, the end of the video comes. So thank you for watching, and I wish you a good time.